Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tauschers Take. I'm Lance Vieser. He is Packers Hall of Famer Mark Tauscher. Mark, not a Hall of Fame performance from the Green Bay Packers in that first half. Everyone wants to know what in the world happened to Mason Crosby.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows. Obviously, you can watch it and you can kind of see it unfolding. You miss the first kick, all of a sudden you try to overcompensate. I look at it a lot, and golfers and kickers have a lot in common because it's so mental, and you repeat that same motion. I think he lost it yesterday. Now it's a matter of the good news for him. He's had some experience to draw back on because he had a really tough 2012 season, came out of that and has had a great 5 or 6 year run. Now he's going to get tested, and mentally this is going to be a week where it's probably one of the most pressure-packed weeks he's going to have because of the performance he had last week, and knowing that he can't go back out and have anything similar to that again. He needs to pick it up, and I'm sure he knows that.
Aaron Rodgers was a little frustrated a week or so ago. He kind of sniped about maybe some of the offensive play calling, and then this week he seemed a little out of rhythm. What do we think is going on there? Is it a matter of the rookie receivers? Is it maybe at odds with the play calling? What do you see
I think it's always a little bit of everything. Whenever you're talking about an offense that's not, I think there's a frustration level, and I think that was part of the comments that he had last week. But I still think, not having Randall Cobb, and then yesterday, Geronimo Allison's been somebody that you feel really good about. He's not out there. So you have young players in there that it seemed like a few times guys were in the same spot. The routes, it looked like it was a little congested. There wasn't that. I don't think the rhythm of the offense was quite there. And I know we talked a little bit already about the strip sacks and stuff that just doesn't happen to Aaron. Turning the football over for him, it appalls him. So to try and figure that piece of it out, I think we've seen him, the quick rhythm throws, getting the ball out, but he's now practicing full time again. I think that helps, especially when you have the young wide receivers that you're trying to get on the same page. So you hope that you see more of that second half, how the offense looked compared to what the first half looked like.
Maybe the most frustrating part is the defense played pretty well against Detroit, didn't they? Is there maybe a ray of hope here on how they've played?
I think you look at the last 2 weeks, and I was last week not on the bandwagon of, this is the 85 Bears. Slow down, you see who you're playing against, but Detroit has a bunch of talent. They finally have some running backs that they feel good about, and they're loaded at wide receiver, and they have a good quarterback. So you feel like with what they gave up, and the only negative I would have, there's two negatives, too many big plays. A couple of them luckily were called back on penalty. And the other thing is the red zone defense. I think, in today's NFL, you have to hold teams to field goals. You can't go where they go 4 for 4 with 4 touchdowns. That's a recipe for losing. And I'm sure Mike Pettin, you can really look at some of the struggles of yesterday's game and look at it from the red zone. Green Bay was forced to kick field goals. Unfortunately, they didn't make them. Detroit was able to punch it in, granted with a shorter field, and that, I think, is your difference in your game.
Obviously, the Packers very much still in this division race, but people want to know, of course, they want to panic. That's what the fans usually do. Where's your level of concern here as far as how fixable are these issues in the immediate future?
Yeah, there's not a sense of panic yet, but I think there is a sense of urgency, and I bet you're going to hear that this week from the players and the coaches that, okay, we're not humming yet. It's a long season, but you don't want to, with the goals that this team has, and you've heard different players talk about winning the division, trying to get a bye, having home field. You can't have a lot of games like yesterday. There's going to be games that just don't work out. You lose some tough games. You got New England and LA coming up. So there's games that are tough just from outside looking in. But you can't have these kind of performances. And the big thing now is you have to find some consistency, and you can't keep shooting yourself in the foot with some of the penalties that Green Bay has had. That's what's been killing this team, is the turnover ratio and penalties, and you have to try to figure out a way to clean that up.
All right, I know Saturday night, everyone's going to be watching ABC. It's going to be the Badgers at Michigan, going to be a big game. How much?
That's a great plug.
It's what I do here,
Yep.
right? I make plugs. So how do you feel now about this offensive line and this running game based on the last couple of weeks? Because it seemed like it was 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust for a few weeks, and all of a sudden, boom, an explosion against Nebraska.
Yeah, I think this offensive line is coming into form. I thought early in the season it just wasn't as smooth as I think when you have all the guys returning that you thought. But I thought last week they dominated the front of Nebraska, and I think they wore them out. We saw a couple of the runs where guys were, you're getting to that second level, and it was full speed ahead. So I think Jonathan Taylor is seeing that. He's getting to that second level, and you saw more explosive plays, which I think from Wisconsin's offensive standpoint, you felt good about the running game, but you wanted to get more big chunk plays because it's so difficult to methodically go down the field 14, 15 play drives. You saw that especially in the second half when Nebraska got worn out, beat up, and it was because the guys up front were doing it.
And I know you like what Garrett Groshek's doing as well. It's kind of that change of pace guy, don't you?
You have to. I think he, screens and he does wildcat. He'll come in and he'll pick up a 3rd and 5. I think his blitz pickup. He is just one of those guys that you want in your locker room because he does anything the coaches ask. He'll say, "Let me go do it. I'm going to line up." And I think he's underestimated a little bit just on his quicks. He had a couple of really where he just put his foot in the ground and got north and south and picked up some critical 3rd downs. He's just a guy you want on the field when the money's on the table.
Disappointing thing is in high school, he had the best mullet ever, and he
it.
cut it off. I mean, is that a bad call?
I mean, I think right now he's playing probably his best football. So whatever he's doing, let him ride.
All right, so no mullet, I guess. Don't grow it back.
Why don't you grow the mullet? You should grow the mullet.
I'm going to talk to management, see if they'll let that fly.
I'm sure
here.
they'd be fine.
I'd be okay with it. All right, so now to more of the concerning thing, which is the defense. They were real thin defensively before this year even started, but now you've had some injuries. Isaiah Loudermilk got hurt. Deron Harrell at corner is hurt. Scott Nelson gets kicked out for targeting. There's some concern here on your part going into this Michigan game?
I think everybody over at Camp Randall is probably has some level of concern just in the fact that you're running out of bodies and you're bringing in true freshmen. So the good news, I think this isn't a potent aerial attack that you're going up in Ann Arbor to play against, but there's still the young guys, big stage. It's going to be a great test for those guys and to figure out how schematically you're going to do things to try and get off the field against Michigan because they're going to come in with the same attitude as Wisconsin. We are going to out-physical you. That's what Wisconsin loves. Mm-hmm. Now it's going to be a matter of who's going to be more physical, and typically Wisconsin feels good about that. Michigan's got some bad boys on defense, though, and that crew is going to be tough to run the football against. It's not going to be like it looked like against Nebraska last Saturday.
After the BYU loss, Wisconsin understandably fell off the national radar. You think they're right back in the conversation as far as in the top 10, that type of thing with the win?
Yes. This is because now you see College Game Day going. You got Herb Street and the whole crew going up there. A lot of eyeballs are going to be on this game on ABC.
On ABC,
so
Saturday night.
There's going to be a ton of eyeballs on this, and these are the games that you all of a sudden reassert yourself. So yes, I still think people are going to be doubting because the BYU loss looks worse with some of the results they've had. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line on this thing is, I think if you can win the Big Ten, and this is a key game in doing that, all of a sudden a lot of that stuff you can forget about that BYU game when you have these big wins coming up. It all starts on Saturday night.
And remember, they have Penn State coming up later in the season, potentially Ohio State in that Big Ten title game. So that's 3 shots. You win those 3 games.
Yeah,
I see no way they're not in the playoff conversation.
Well, with Notre Dame in there, it's a little bit trickier, but there is no doubt the Big Ten, I think, especially that eastern side, there's a lot of good football teams, and Wisconsin's going to have to run the gamut if they're going to have any chance at trying to get themselves back in the college football playoff.
And it starts when? Saturday night?
I think it's on ABC, right?
I think that game's on ABC. Check it out at 6:30 on ABC. So that's another edition of
Go
Tauschers
Brewers.
Take. Go Brewers in the NLCS as well. Congratulations to them. And thanks, Mark.
You got it.